Hello. We're going to be assembling a few rackets here, so enjoy it. I'll talk through some things, but also I'll just be quiet and put together some ping pong paddles. So let me know if you have any questions, and hope you enjoy it. Alright, so I'm removing this blue rubber from this T-bar blade. T-bar blade is being decommissioned, but I'll keep it, maybe use it for something. So, Sandwich Target National, that's some good side tape. I'll keep that for something, might need it. You gotta be careful. So you can see this side, the wood came a bit, this blade's a bit worn out. I have to take some of the glue residue off. It is a 7-ply blade. I think you can see it, right? So this is the plies of wood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's probably 2 skinny ones that I can't see, but maybe not. Not gonna worry about it. So yeah, I'll put some other rubbers on this blade sometime. Gotta hope this sponge comes off easily. Should, but I can tell because you saw the other side of the blade how it's like real dry and kind of peeled off the wood. You gotta be careful. Probably not sealed, and it's a cheap blade. So that combination, yeah, see, you can see the sponges coming off a little bit. So I gotta be careful. It's never fun to have to start streams with stubborn rubber removal, let's say. Especially because it can be frustrating, especially if it starts to be damaged more. So I kind of try to do it like a diagonal these days. Some people say if you pull straight up, you could delaminate. I don't like to go straight across either though. So I'm just trying to get started more in those different spots where it might stick. You can see it's pretty sticking to the blade pretty bad. This might not work out. So, slow removal. It's okay, no one's actually watching it, so. Yeah, I can tell I don't trust it yet to try and actually pull it off like you normally would altogether because the sponge is a little bit brittle. It's sticking to the blade. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Get it kind of started. Hi Erica, how's it going? Thanks for saying hey. Sorry, I have to look up to see the chat sometimes. So if I don't say hi right away, sorry, but definitely appreciate anyone that stops by. And I definitely appreciate anyone that says hey. So, shout out, Erica. We've got a Spinfire from this brand, Deere Material Specialist. Long pips rubber with a sponge, I think. Maybe it's short pips. I'll have to look that up in a second. Any pips out, players out there? See, it's kind of getting stuck to the blade, so I'm doing my best to preserve the sponge. But, yeah, I guess this is part of why you typically want to seal your blade. Trying to get creative out here. Salvage the rubber. I guess the good thing about pips is that they're already bumpy, so if the sponge gets damaged a bit, they can make it work. Yeah, it's peeling up the blade a bit. Hoping not to take forever tonight assembling all these rackets, so this is not the start I was hoping for, that's for sure, because the sponge is getting a little torn up anyway. So that's going to make it tougher to get it to go back on a blade without screwing it up, but no big deal, whatever. I used to call the streams watching paint, no, watching glue dry, yeah. Because that was, it's not very exciting, right? You just kind of got to do it. No, I can't pull it all together. Should I make it a new rule that I take rubbers off before I start assembly streams so I know that I'm not going to spend the first half hour removing a rubber from a blade for no reason? Put one or two. This is a pain. It's not really worth it. This rubber's not going to survive. Okay, Spinfire, let's see. I'll give it your best shot. Nope. It's done. This Spinfire project is over. Good night. Alright, well that part of the checklist is done. Which is okay. This blade, I have to go back to the drawing board. So, what? Anyway, now we got to do the actual fun one, so that's okay. These two on here. I'm gonna double check. Make sure everything looks normal. Take a look there. Give me a second. I'm gonna check some things out. Okay. So people are watching. I just can't see that you're watching. All right. My app's not telling me that you're watching for some reason. So I was kind of like sitting here wondering. So you're actually hearing me right now, I'd appreciate if you say something in chat, but also sorry that first racket didn't work out. That happens sometimes. My friend's going to be a little disappointed that rubber is done, but there was nothing I could do. Couldn't save it. Sometimes the rubber's time is done. Anyway, this is a double fish off plus speed blade. This is got a carbon layer in there. I don't know much else about it. I think I just looked it up, but then I was under the impression it was a wood blade. So yeah, carbon. I think it's pretty quick. I'm guessing off plus. What's up, Romanik? Yeah, so let me get a little info on this blade real quick. I'm gonna get a second. I'm gonna get the scale out too, we can weigh it. But yeah, it's carbon layers in there. Take a look real quick. I just searched it, but then I forgot what it was. Thanks for saying hi. I was wondering if something's going on with my app software. Anyway, double fish off plus speed. Oh yeah, I was on AliExpress. I don't know much about this blade at the moment, I'll be honest. Yeah, 5 wood plus 2 carbon. Hinoki plus black walnut plus carbon plus IU. So let me get the scale real quick. I forgot where I put it though. Sorry, give me a second. I'm not sure I actually know where it is, but. Alright, well. I'm not going to weigh it unless someone cares. Yeah. Let's see. Look at it. Yeah, so Hinoki black walnut, carbon ice says loop drive with quick attack, off plus speed. That's all I got at the moment. So yeah, that's blade. So on that blade, I'm gonna put XIOM Omega 8 Euro. What is it? Black max thickness. That's pretty cool looking. And then Dignics 05 on the backhand, red 2.1. What was that? Oh yeah, the roller tip. Anyway, that's that. Then we got this Yinhe Balsa T9. I just looked it up. One side's got carbon, one side doesn't. So it's one of these combination blades, combi blades as they call it. I'm not a Pips player, but I learned that some point in the past. Anyway, you see carbon on one side, right? No carbon. Now you see it. Now you don't. All right. So yeah, this side is made for the attacking side, the inverted rubber. This side is made for the long pips. All right, so we got these two blades, and then on that blade, we're putting the Omega 8 China. Black max thickness. I've heard a lot of good things about this rubber, so I'm curious about it. And then on the backhand, we're putting Kazfu long pips, I think. KF915, don't know what that is. Green sponge, or green rubber and green sponge. 1 millimeter, so. I don't really like putting pips rubbers on, but I'll do it. And that one's got a sponge. I had to do a no sponge one recently, and it was so painful. I've done it a few times, but I think I need glue sheets if I'm going to do that. Anyway, we're using the GWO Hydrotech glue today. See if we can use the rest of this bomb. Actually, not. There's quite a bit there. Need a clip. So yeah, thanks for everyone for being here. It takes a while. I'm not going to rush it. Might get boring. Feel free to check in and out. Feel free to let me know what equipment you use when you play. If you ever make your own ping pong paddles. If you have any questions about how to do it. Things like that. I didn't prepare as well as I thought. I need to get one of these clips. Well, basically with the no sponge, it's just like the pips, and then it hits the wood. And whereas the sponge, then it kind of compresses the sponge. So I'm not a pips player. I think like there's different videos on it. The least reactive maybe, because you have no sponge and just long pips and a wood. It's like it's the most insensitive, but also the hardest to attack with. So that's made for like blocking over the table, chop blocks and quick blocks and things. And then if you have more of a sponge, you can attack a little more with it. You can do some like funkier swipes and things, I think, with more speed. And use it, I don't know, a little more in a different way. But I'm not a pips player, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. But yeah, so they put the carbon on the attacking side so you can have more speed there than a wood side here, low carbon for more control. That's the idea with that blade. Let's see, which one do I want to do first? I want to do the inverted first on this side and that. So we'll do the Omega 8s on both sides. We got the China and the Euro. Let's see what they say about the two. I always end up spending so much time just reading this stuff instead of assembling, sorry. Ultimatum of Omega, lighter Jekyll and Hyde. AI engineered physics-chemical model of Jekyll and Hyde aims for top performance mostly for highly trained pro players only. Without swing speed that can generate over 7,500 RPM, Jekyll and Hyde can be too hard or too heavy. Omega 8 recalibrated this downside to allow the majority of players to easily leverage the amazing 2-in-1 performance of Jekyll and Hyde. So this is the rubber for your average Joe. Something like that. Lighter version of Jekyll and Hyde. See with amazing X factor. Ooh la la. I've never played with it. I've only played from the XIOM rubbers Vega Europe like for a while on one blade. The other ones I've tried here and there, but I don't know enough about them. But I hear it's good, right? Vega Pro is good. Omega Tour. Vega Japan. And then this Omega China is supposed to be good for a hybrid. Easier to use than Jekyll and Hyde, which they just said. I know I was laughing about it, but it is supposedly true. China, Omega 8. I don't know how to open the package. That's pretty cool though. Look, 2-in-1. Doop. Doop. Whoa, it's got a sheet on it. Okay, it's got some nice grip to it. Alright, let me make space. I always talk about making space. I don't know if I showed you, but Sunrise Spindex, October Open, Giant Round Robin, multiple divisions. If you're in Florida or you want to come to Florida, you could play on Saturday, October 25th, 12 p.m. Get your Spindex, sign up. Either way, spindexmltt.com, sign up, go Croc. Anyway, Omega 8 China. Let's make some room, people, make some room. Let's see what we got going on here. Black sponge, whoa. Pretty cool. Pretty. No smell to it. Whoa, this thing's pretty cool. Anyone ever used Omega 8 China before? Let's feel it. Okay, so it's not like sticky at all, but it's got some good grip to it. Definitely, catches your finger when you slide a ball and go across it, like grabbing it. But it's not sticky. And that black sponge is cool looking, that's for sure. All right, so let me actually get my butterfly paper because I don't like that sticky stuff. Sorry again. Like I said, I wasn't as prepared as I thought. What can you do? So, as I say, you should always keep these butterfly papers from your rubbers because they're useful. Put this here. Oops. This rubber's a little too big, but no big deal. Save that because it could be a good little rubber protector or something. A little 2-in-1 action. Alright. Get out of the way for now. Long pips. It's always a mess. I always say keep a clean workspace, but when I'm doing a stream, I got stuff everywhere. So do as I say, not as I do. And don't really do as I say either. But anyway, let's start. Use Vega, Asia, DF. Okay. And the Vega, the Asia, or the DF ones, those are little softer sponges compared to each one, or is that not true? I forgot. Because I remember the DF version I'd heard of a few times, but or like maybe it's a little more modern, like made for the plastic ball or something. I forgot. I'm trying to only do one layer of glue, so I put a good amount there. I don't use this GWO glue all the time, and I've never used these rubbers before, so I don't know just how absorbent the sponge is, and sometimes I forget just how the GWO glue does with some things, but it dries quickly, so I put a good amount on, and you just hope for the best. Say, please, GWO glue, be kind. So I usually use the Revolution 3 glue, but I'm using this stuff. This stuff dries quicker, so you have to be a little careful. Don't mess with it forever, but you still got enough time if you use enough. Just kind of gauge. That's good enough. All right, not painting a portrait here. I'll put some on the blade too, don't worry. Not like I would ever forget that, right? Never. I can feel, actually this one's pretty smooth. It almost feels like it's been sealed, but it's just very smooth. So it says attached with long pips on the other side, meaning put the long pips on the other side. So on this side, it's inverted. Put quite a bit of, like I said, I'm gonna put quite a bit of glue on here because I'm only doing one layer on the rubber and on the blade each, so might as well. So it goes on this white color, and then it dries clear. So you wait for it to dry clear on the rubber and the blade. The blade will dry quicker. Almost always. Not always, but almost always. And really, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't overdo it, because like I said, if the glue starts to dry and you're still spreading it around, there's going to come a point where things start to get messy, and you don't want that. If you've just done the blade and it gets messy, then you can let it dry and wipe it off the blade. That's easy. If it happens on the sponge or the rubber, it's not so easy. That's enough. I use plenty. I use probably slightly more than I needed. See, I used the Vega Europe for a little while when I was practicing, like a long time ago, on an all-around blade. I like that rubber. Works well for both sides. I always like that. Like I always say, XIOM, Vega Europe, Yasaka, Rakza 7 are two that I think are good from my own experience. I know Butterfly Rosanna is also in that same category. I haven't used it like extensively myself, but I've always tried it and always worked well. So those three rubbers I think are good rubbers for both sides. Nowadays, Rosanna is actually a very good value compared to Rakza 7. So definitely a good option. Fast Arc G1's another one in that category, but I'd never liked G1 that much, if I'm being honest. just never worked for me. But Fast Arc G1's like the most popular rubber besides butterfly stuff in Japan or something, so that counts for something, I think. Euro 8 Omega. Omega, what do they say about it? What about it? Ultimatum of Omega, lighter Jekyll and Hyde. It's the same thing, right? Euro. Light but powerful. 2-in-1 performance for offense, defense. Okay. So China, lighter version with amazing X Factor. Euro. Light but powerful. 2-in-1 performance for offense and defense. Okay. I don't know what that means, but it's alright. So this one, you saw the other one had the sheet that was like stuck to it a little bit. This one's got the paper XIOM Beyond. That's pretty cool. Alright, XIOM Beyond. So we can use that instead of the butterfly here. It's always nice. So. Yeah, not as grippy as that. Should have squeezed that sponge, huh? I'll do it here. Don't care. Watch me. This one feels a little softer, of course. It's supposed to be. But I already knew that, so you can't trust my feeling on that. Should have done a blind touch test. Between the packages, both pretty cool. I don't know. Vote. Which one do we like more? I shouldn't get distracted yet, but do you like the blue one? Euro, woo! Or the China one? Whee! I don't know. They're pretty cool. I like the blue one, of course. Alright. Don't necessarily need this note anymore. I think I've got it pretty much under control. If I put the rubbers on the wrong blade at this point, we got bigger problems. That sponge is cool looking though. Another black sponge. What in the world? So both those black rubbers with the black sponge. Let's look at it. Looks like outer space stuff. High tech. All right. This one, I can see the sponge is a little more porous, a little softer. Looks like it'll absorb more. So I'm gonna use a little extra glue because I just don't want to deal with the things I talked about already. Yeah, you can feel it's a little scratchier. A little rough around the edges. Is there such thing as too much glue? Yes, there is, but if it happens, you'll manage. Don't worry. Just like I'm about to do. Just kind of spread it around in different directions for a while until it seems even. And you can also put some on the blade, so that's what I'm going to do also. Watch. I'm reclaiming my glue. Might accidentally glue the rubber to the table, but luckily table tennis glue is very easily removed from other things. Once it dries, it just kind of peels off. All right. Really, it's already done, but I just felt like doing a little more. Sometimes less is more. And sometimes more is definitely more. So here's a lot of glue I put on. Just the right amount. Measured out very carefully. So we gotta wait. You can see this is a lot clearer already than that. Looks pretty cool. So it's drying, different stages of, I mean, these aren't really drying yet, right? So if you're watching, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Look at this. See, this is the table tennis glue on the table. Not a big deal. Just wipe it, right? It's gone. You wipe it. It's gone. Never to be seen again. Let me know any questions you have about table tennis racket assembly. I estimate about 10 more minutes on this side, about 20 minutes on this side. Unfortunately, the other rubber on this racket did not come off properly for whatever reason, so that one's a goner if you're just joining us, right? Sorry! T-bar. Something match. It's a very cheap blade, but the blade wasn't the problem. We were hoping to save this rubber, move it to another blade. Look, it looks so nice, but it didn't happen. Interesting, right? Sorry. I mean, it was going okay, right? With the removal while I was being patient, but once I reached like critical mass of divots, I just started peeling it. I could still, no, there's no point. I shouldn't have done that, I guess, but I wasn't going to sit there and peel it off. See, it was already messed up. I had no choice. But we'll save the blade. How about that? Oh my gosh, you can see this sponge was, yeah, I'm not doing it right now. Not in the mood. Don't have the energy. One of my first live racket assemblies, I had to remove the rubbers from a blade for like 45 minutes. It was terrible. It was a Dignics 80 or Dignics 05, old rubber. The Dignics 05 and 80, the sponges, something happens to them. It's happened to me a couple times and someone else was telling me today. Always cap your glue. Let's talk about the tournament real quick, not to bore you. Sunrise Spin next October Open. Giant round robin, multiple divisions. Cash prizes for first and second in all groups. Groups of 5 to 7 and matches are best of 5. Equipment giveaways for players wearing the best Halloween costumes. What do you think about that? I think that was a good idea. I think it's going to be fun. So I'm going to give away, what are we going to give away to people wearing Halloween costumes? Just so they know what they're dressing up for. Let's see, I don't know. What do we got around here? Alright, of course we got the VIII rubber cleaners. We've been giving these out. Nothing new, not that special. I say people are moderately enthused when I give them one of these. Maybe they're taking it because they feel bad for me. But if you feel bad about it, just let me keep it because I can give this to someone else. VIII rubber cleaners don't grow on trees. You know what they say. Anyway, this is a Loki case. Pretty cool. Off AliExpress, good deal. But buying it for me is a better deal. We got the pink rack. We made this on the assembly stream a while ago. I boosted these rubbers. One layer of the Haifu Simu National Yellow Booster. You can see I did my little trick on the edges to kind of get it to stay because it came up a bit. So it's a little bit visually uneven, but it makes no difference when you play. This works well. And I actually think for the pink rubber, for the other blue rubber I had, the boosting is important. For these other ones, the Kieran one, it does okay without the boosting. I tried on one racket, but both do better from boosting. This is a 5-ply blade. So that'll be one of the prizes, right? Someone wears a costume, plays in this tournament. Here's your prize. Boom. New racket with a case. Bring your best costume. That's just one of them, right? I got one. But we don't even see it right now. Drying. Getting there, right? Getting there, but I put quite a bit at the bottom, so that's taking a little while. Doesn't matter. I always try to put a little extra at the bottom and then sometimes right around the edges so it really sticks. Almost gone. Got the Notaku ball box, got the butterfly ball box, dueling 40 plus balls. Who's gonna win in the end? Notaku or butterfly? What do you think? Let me do a little cleanup around here. Sorry, Spinfire rubber. Hardly do. Yeah, there's this GWO blade. The red rubber's already coming out. That was I supposed to replace, but this black one was already coming up too, so I'll tell my friend. I'm gonna have to come up with a better plan for that one. Say 5 minutes till I assemble that one rubber. I suppose it should be 15 minutes for the other side then. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're really bored, I'm sorry. Table tennis racket assembly is not glamorous. It takes time. You gotta be patient. Gotta do it right. Because if you don't do it right and you have to redo it, it's really a pain. That's the problem. If you do it right, ooh, it's fun. If you do it wrong, it's not fun. And it could be costly, right? Think about this Dignics 05, the pressure. I gotta assemble this. I gotta do a good job. But I like, Dignics has harder sponges, so at least they're easier to put on than Tenergy. The softer sponge annoys me a little bit. I like my Dignics 09C. It's durable, goes on easy. Harder sponges, they're just like less finicky. They won't show the problems as much, the imperfections. Then they don't chip up as much. Yeah, it is what it is. China 8 is kind of like a hybrid in theory to compete with things like 09C or these other, like I said, an easier to use Jekyll and Hyde, something like Calderano plays. Speaking of Calderano, he's playing in the Pan Am Championships in Rock Hill, South Carolina. You can watch those matches on YouTube. They're really good. Canuck Jaw played today. He won, as far as I know. The streams froze up at the very end of the matches, so I just turned them off. Calderano won, of course. But he played Marcelo Aguirre, who's real good. I'm pretty sure he just beat Fan Zhendong the other day. Didn't watch it. As far as I'm concerned, Fan Zhendong retired after winning gold in the Olympics. And he's never lost a match since. Let's take a look at what we're going to be putting on next. Some Pips rubbers. Forgive me. Casfu KF915. Should I go look it up? What do they say about it? Casfu KF915. Table tennis ball long rubber single skin. Imported from Germany rubber. Good particle flexibility. One-time molding especially hit. The bottom skin is transparent and the hand feels clear. The ball is strange and changeable. Attack and defense. Is a long glue player's win the ball sharp tool. That's pretty good. Well, I like it. You better not taste or smell the rubber products. I mean, I do sometimes smell to see what the sponge is treated with, but they're saying don't do it, so I'm not gonna. You smell it for me, Tony. No, don't do it. Sorry, I shouldn't promote them. Anyway, it's a long Pips rubber. It's green. Got a 1mm sponge. How do they feel? Bristly, but not quite as soft and bristly as some, but quite flexible. Long Pips. "10 hours. YouTube, white noise, long Pips." Those are the long Pips. I don't know what else to say about them. I don't know much about them. Got 3 options. It's this option. Reduce force and sink to prevent arc. Right, so they're trying to prevent your arcs. Almost dry. But you can't rush assembly. You gotta do it well. Let's get this Dignics out of here. That thing, whew. I definitely put too much glue on that thing, but I'm only using 1 layer. I want it to stick, so whatever. And if you put a good layer, it's got a nice bounce to it. It sticks on there good. It's still drying, so bear with me. I'll find other things to glue together in the meantime. Don't worry. Butterfly. Anyone tried the new Zyre 03 rubber? Anyone out there? Please tell me if you tried the Zyre 03 rubber. I'd like to hear your opinions. I haven't got a chance to try it yet. Hoping this week I get a chance. One of my friends from the club bought a couple of sheets. Gonna put it on his blade. Coach is gonna let me try. So yeah, Dignics 05. staple in the table tennis world at this point. Most high-level players are playing with some combination of Dignics 05 and Dignics 09C, either one or the other on both sides, or one on one side and the other on the other side, or mixed with some other rubbers every once in a while, or if they're using some like combination rubber, whatever, pips. One of the sheets, usually 09C, 05, something like that. What do they say about it? Prominence of X. Power of the ball with spin at high level. Dignics guides your play to a more advanced level. The essence is the combination of Spring Sponge X. The advanced version of Spring Sponge, which has more elasticity. Uniquely composed top sheet with strength and abrasion proves great resistance on the surface, providing the feeling of holding the ball at impact. Adopting Pimple's code number 05. Recognized for its high spin performance, Dignics 05 is recommended for the player who seeks to generate a high-level attacking play, imparting powerful topspin, as well as counter topspin. Play both close to the table and at mid-distance. Okay, will do. So yeah, have you ever used Dignics 05? I've used it. I like it, but I like my 09C better for me, but I think 05 is more of a standard rubber for most people. It makes more sense. Definitely for backhand, most people. But it's like, it's got grip, right? But I don't know. You're not going to take my 09C away from me, that's for sure. It's not really that great. I mean, it's got good friction, right? You can feel it, but it's less than the China for sure. Slightly less than that, I would say. The Euro, similar maybe. But I think I would say that's the grippiest. Medium grip. Definitely the least grip. Kind of in the middle, I guess, this one. Not necessarily closer to one side or the other, because I was going to say it's close to this, but it's not quite as close, but it's also not quite as close to this. What can I say? 09C would be over here. It's actually got like a tackiness to it, a little bit of stickiness. But not like a real sticky, old school Chinese rubber, like the Battle 2. I still have a Battle 2 sheet around here, a few years old, that I could just like stick on a ball and it would just hold it upside down. I haven't done anything with it. I've got it if I need it. So yeah, the blade here is pretty much dry everywhere except for the handle where it pulled up a little bit. This is almost there. It's got a little more. Bear with me. Just trying to fill dead air, right? But I'm running out of things to say. So let me know what you're doing. Tell me, are you assembling rackets too? Are you going to play any table tennis this week? Watch any table tennis online? There's a few different tournaments going on right now I was going to talk about. And I'll talk about a little bit in between different things. This thing's almost ready. We're almost there. Bear with me. So the Asian teams tournament's going on. The European teams tournament's going on. The Pan Am Championship is going on. Those are the ones I know about. There might be more. Benjamin Faraji played amazing against Lin Chidong today. Definitely recommend checking out the match. That was the first thing I saw when I woke up. Someone wrote online what had happened, so I had to see it. Then I watched the match, the teams match, Indian women's team versus Singapore. Very exciting. Great comeback almost, and then comeback thwarted. Good victory for the Singaporeans. And the commentators in the Asian teams tournament on table 1 are very funny, very entertaining, very insightful, and also just, yeah, they got a lot of energy, so it's good. Definitely recommend checking them out. We're almost there. Almost there. Don't worry. So, that was one hefty layer on the rubber, a good layer on the blade on this one. Waiting for it to dry. Let's call it 20 minutes. I don't know. I didn't have a watch. And then you put them together, make a racket, at least half a racket, 2/3 of a racket, let's say. And then I'll do the same on the other side with the pips. Not my specialty, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm gonna clear a little space because this one's about ready. I'm not gonna cut it right away. I don't usually do that right now. I need my roller. Yeah, so some of the glue got there. Like I said, it's not a big deal because the glue wipes off. But I'll move it. I just want enough space so I can roll these things out here. So yeah, I'm going to stick it on here. you start like, let's say you put this much of the rubber on, right? You get it lined up with the handle, which when you're doing the first rubber side, you can stick your blade all the way up to the edge. It's easy. So you stick the rubber all the way up to here. Maybe get this much down. Then I'm gonna try to get the roller on, right? So you get it set, and you get the roller on. You roll firmly, but you don't stretch it out, because if you stretch it out, it's gonna want to pull back, and that hurts the adhesion with the glue. So you start, and you get a good firm roll, but don't stretch it out. Get it all the way down. Make sure, firm enough to keep air bubbles out. Get it stuck on there good, and then you can roll real hard so it sticks well. And then ideally, you put some weight on it at some point. Ideally. All right, we're going for it. Enough is enough. On my way. So like I say, it's always easier if you don't have a tripod right in front of your face, but we'll work around it. Like this. Let's see. Let's see what we're up against here. Always try to make sure your roller doesn't have anything on it. I'll keep it in my lap for now. Yeah, so much for that, right? Alright, so we got this. There's no mark in the middle on this one, but you can look at the label to find it. Alright, so like I said, I got the bottom started. I hold it up here. Take my roller off the ground. I start rolling. So like I said, I got that first one down. I didn't pull it so that it stretched or anything, but I made sure I got it put down firmly, and then now I'm applying pressure. Now if you get that first ball on the table, then you start moving around, applying pressure. So, I mean, like I said, I've used Vega Europe before, but I've really assembled very few XIOM rubbers. I don't think I've assembled that many at all. So I'm always curious because, for example, this looks good. Did a good job. Happy with that. For example, when I do like the T-bar evolution rubbers and stuff, sometimes they're a little wavy, or like, well, the reason Rakza 7 soft sometimes bothers me is because it will be a little wavy on a blade, and that I don't like that. That's why I like the harder sponges too. Every once in a while you see someone playing with a racket that's got like all these dimples and waves on it. Okay. Alright, so that one needs to dry. Well, not dry actually, it is dry. But like I said, I like to let it sit for a second nowadays. Let it join together, and then I'll cut it in a bit. By a bit, I don't mean that long, just a bit. Alright. This comes back, so you can see this got dry, that's got dry, but it's mostly dry. Let me clean up my mess over here. Fix this. All right. So there might be a little bit on this side, but I can wipe it off and I'll cut it off anyway, so not a big deal. So it's drying. You can always see like the way it dries is also where you can see how it was distributed, right? The places that were more saturated dry slower. So we got the Omega 8 Euro on the forehand of this blade, the double fish. Pretty cool, good looking blade, gotta say. Got the lines. Reminds me of a Fan Jindong blade, right? If someone was playing this and I didn't get a good look, I could say, oh, maybe that's a Fan Jindong. This one, the Yinhu blade, definitely solid. I mean, Yinhu blades are nice. They have good handles, but simple design, let's say. So I'm just letting the weight of the racket sit on that one. I mean, I could set something on it, but whatever. So far we got one rubber on, right? It's a slow start. Typical of the streams, though. Let me do a little cleanup. We gotta wait for this one to dry. But let me clean things up, then we'll cut this one. We'll get started getting things ready for the green pits. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Like I said, my app lately has been letting me down a little bit, but it's no big deal. I was just checking my computer because now I can see people are actually watching the stream, so I appreciate you being here. Let's say, I don't want to let you down. I would say 8 minutes, but I think it's going to take a little longer. This one's taking forever. I should turn the fan on, but it'll make a little noise. If you turn the fan on, it definitely dries quicker. The air's not really running in here right now. People use a blow dryer, but I don't do it. Not for any particular purpose. I don't have a blow dryer. So I hope you're enjoying your evening, or your morning, or your day, or your, I'm not sure, anything, right? Any part of the day. I hope you're enjoying it. All right. Good job. Let's cut this thing. Let's cut it. Had enough. Enough waiting around. Time to cut it. So yeah, Scott, you can feel it. There's definitely more grip to this one. Let's compare it to Dignics. To the Dignics. Oh. Yeah. This one's got more of like that, I don't know how to describe it, matte grippiness. This one's got a little bit more stick grippiness, but it's not sticky. Anyway, let's go. So I think last time I was doing some cuts where I was starting like this and then catching up to it. I don't mind that way, but let's see how it works. I was calling it the lazy way, but it was working. Okay, so I can tell the sponge is not super hard, that's for sure. Like I said, a little easier to use than a Jekyll and Hyde. Trying to get started here. All right, there we go. It's a little bit hard to cut, I would say. Now it feels more dense for sure, but every rubber is a little different. The sponge, the top sheet, the way it cuts. I think consensus is the best cut, the most perfect round cut. You need to use a knife, but I don't know. I still like the scissors for some reason. So far, so good. We're on a roll. That's the Omega 8 China Edition. ITTF code 79091. So you can always look on the approved ITTF racket coverings list. 79 is the XIOM brand. 091 is the top sheet for this Omega 8 China. So technically there could be other rubbers with different sponges, but same top sheet. It would have the same code. Assuming it's made by XIOM. Anyway, set that one back down for a bit. This one's drying. Time to get this one glued going. Yeah, okay. We can admit, I put too much glue on this one. So what? Alright, next we gotta do this pips rubber. I don't like doing the pips rubbers. But we do them anyway. Alright, this is that Casfu 915. Probably heard of it. Anyone use Casfu K5 KF915 out there? Casfu KF915. Over. Anyway, 1mm sponge, long pips. That's all I know. That's all I got. I'm not going to overdo it. Don't worry. Back away from the glue. especially like I've said before, once your sponge gets saturated, then you definitely don't need as much glue as you did in the very beginning. Right? You already got some glue saved up in there. Just trying to get spread around everywhere first, and then hopefully, by hopefully I mean definitely get it spread around after that. I guess I could leave myself a little spot in the corners over without putting glue, so I don't have to do what I'm doing. Right? If I just left this unglued and I could just hold it, that's what I should do. That's good enough. I don't know why this got covered up a little. That's better. Done. Step away from the sponge. Just kidding. It's not enough. See, if you would do that and start spreading it and then it dried too quick, it would start to gunk up on you, so you gotta be careful. The blade, you gotta be careful for sure. Especially if you don't know just how absorbent it is. But then again, like I said, you can solve it or you can fix it also just by letting it dry and then wiping it off. So lower stakes in that sense than the sponge that you might have to remove all the glue and risk tearing it up. I get nightmares just thinking about it. Huh. What's going on over there? Dried up on me a little bit over there somehow. Huh. Yeah, things are okay. Well, we gotta fix that. Give me a second. Like I said, didn't see that. Let's see what happens if I just try to fix this part. I don't think it's gonna work. I think I gotta do the whole blade. All right. So I'm just gonna wipe my fingers all this and do the whole thing, but I'm not gonna do it over the table because I don't want to get it on other things. That's why they say live assembly. Are you crazy? Are you a madman? You can't guarantee nothing will go wrong. No, I guarantee things will go wrong, and we're gonna fix them. So, oh yeah, I'm not even on the stream. What's up? You're planning to use Hurricane Neo 3, so this is me fixing the glue. I'm just not doing it all over my good stuff. That's why you don't see it, but I'm just rubbing with my fingers. Yeah, I like Hurricane Neo 3. A lot of people boost it. I don't like boosting things that much, so that's why I like the 09C, because I don't need to boost it, even though people do. But Hurricane Neo 3 is very good. I used that for a while on an all-wood blade. And then I switched to Rakza 7 for a while, because I was kind of learning a different style, in my opinion. But yeah, it's good if you like it. If you're willing to play physical game, or you really like spin and control, and you're willing to, you know, play a lot of forehand, make good use of it maybe. Alright, so as you can see, I made a little bit of mess of a few different things at the same time, but it's no big deal. No big deal at all. Alright, so this blade was very cooperative with me, same with the glue. Almost there. What blade do you use, Frozen? What blade would you use with the Hurricane 3 Neo? And which Hurricane 3 Neo are you considering? Alright, it's clear. We gotta start over on that one. My bad, y'all. You can see I kind of messed up there a little bit, but that's at the bottom of the rubber, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, the experiment there with the blotting of the sponge, and then that did not work. I'm going to do a better job this time. This is ready to assemble. I need to hurry up, right? Not really. Anyway, sometimes your sponge will start to betray you too if the glue gets dry in your sponge in a bad way. So be careful with that too. Sorry if I'm not keeping stuff close to the camera. Anyway, I used a lot of glue here because I didn't want it to do the same thing. Whoa, yeah, now I'm making a mess. Things are falling. The wheels are falling off the bus. Happens. Give me a second. We'll fix this up. Don't worry. Actually, you're right. Switched around. So my sponge got too saturated, caused some problems, but we've switched around. Now you gotta be careful because now you put an absorbent sponge. It's really not gonna do much when you. It's enough. When you're having trouble with the glue and it gets to a usable state, you say that's enough. And you stop messing with it. I say it out loud because I'm streaming. Normally I would just say it to myself in my head. Like I said, table tennis glue, not a big deal to clean up. It just wipes right up. You wouldn't like glue a house together with it. So we gotta let this dry. Now this side's ready. Technically this is a little bit wet, but it's alright. That's on the edge, it'll dry later. Let's go. So like I said, G-Well glue dries quickly. That's why I'm kind of over applying the glue in situations because, I don't know, I suppose at this point a theory could be that too much glue is better than not enough in terms of you can always wipe off the excess one way or another. Like you saw me switch the sponge and then wipe it off, but if you don't put enough and it starts to dry and clump up on you, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. Anyway, I got the roll in the lap. It might fall out. Don't be alarmed. We're putting on the Omega Euro rubber. Make sure your hands are clean. Make sure your roller's clean. Omega Euro. Make sure we're all the way up there. A lot of systems checks. It's like launching a rocket. Get it started. Apply the pressure. As you can see, there's a little bit of residue from the glue on here. You wipe it off. No big deal. We're halfway there. Actually, slightly more than halfway because I got glue on that one. But all right, moving along. So yeah, anyone out there using Hurricane Neo 3, let me know what blade you're using. I used it on a Viscaria for like a couple months at one point because, like I said, I used it for a while on the all-round blade a long time ago. I'm talking about maybe a year or more. And then I used it later on a Viscaria, but just for a couple months to try it out. But I like Rakza 7 a lot for developing, and then nowadays I like 09C a lot for playing. So those are really the two rubbers I care about. I think Rakza 7 actually works well to move to other rubbers, including Dignics and IC. I think Hurricane's good if you start with it and train hard with it, but it's not for everyone in my opinion. Alright, so we're over here, we're waiting for this to dry. Give this a couple minutes, then we'll cut it. Then we gotta do our Dignics 05. Get that ready. Hopefully hopefully we'll wrap this up not too late because I gotta go to sleep and then play in the morning. Definitely, if you're around, check out the stream in the morning. Be training, get some good practice in. Maybe you see some people try out these rackets. But yeah, I think it'll be a good morning. So yeah, this one is not drying as quick today, but probably because, like I said, I put a lot of glue on. Maybe I'll turn the air on in here, get a little more airflow going or something. You might hear it a little bit, but I think it's necessary. Alright, 2 more rubbers to go. Let me know you got any questions about table tennis racket assembly, about equipment, about table tennis. That's about it. Can't really help you anywhere else. Sorry. So this blade is ready to go. Basically, there's a little bit extra there at the bottom. It hasn't dried yet because it was thicker, but it's ready. The green rubber's got plenty to still dry. Time to cut this one so I can get started on that Dignics because we don't want to be here all night. I want to eat some food before I go to bed. I have some chicken wings. Do you think I could eat some chicken wings while I do racket assembly? Would that'd be like a very niche YouTube channel, right? Man eats chicken wings and assembles table tennis rackets at the same time. It doesn't make a mess, right? That's the key. I'm not sure how. Not sure how he does it. Sponge is softer feeling here, not as dense. Makes sense. So when you're cutting with the scissors, you try not to pull the rubber too much. That's why I got these new scissors. They're sharper. My other scissors had gotten too dull, so it was starting to pull on the rubber too much. Take your time. These ones are shorter scissors, so they're kind of... You do a lot of little cuts, which can be a little more jagged as opposed to nice, longer cuts that are smoother, but you can fix it if you really care. Where are we dropping this? So this is the first side on this one. The Omega 8 Euro. Cost more than €8 though, that's for sure. Uh-oh. That was a mistake on my part. I let one of the little... Okay, I'll be back. I'm gonna use the little tweezers to pull it off. Because I let one of the little chips from the rubber go on the other one. I got carried away with that drop. So, if you ever drop a little thing in the glue when it's drying, use your tweezers to pull it out. Right. Seems pretty obvious, but anyway, okay, time to get the glue going over here. So, Dignics 05, pretty absorbent, not like as crazy absorbent as some others, but I'll give it a good gluing. Enough. That's enough. See, like I said, something goes on with these Dignics sponges when they're on a blade for a long time. They like dry out in a weird way, and they become very brittle sometimes and hard to get off the blades, and they crumble in a bunch of pieces. It's really annoying. But Dignics 09C does not do that, from what I've seen, at least. Good enough. All right. I'm not going to do what I did last time with this blade. I'm going to put... I got to set a good example. So I'm just going to put glue on normally. It's enough. I'm not going to blot the sponge out that much or at all. How about that? I'm going to show a lot of self-restraint, not blot the sponge out and just get the glue on there. Alright, so it's basically ready. You reach that point where you say stop. Alright, in theory, we're done gluing for the night, right? If I come across any blades and rubbers on the floor on my way to the computer, I'll assemble those as well. So anybody, let me know what you play with, like what's your blade, what's your rubbers, what's your racket name, where you play, what do you like about playing? Are you an offensive player, a defensive player, all-around player? You like to chop, you like to spin, you like to push and block? Do you like to practice your serves? I think it's really important to practice your serves. So if you take one thing away from this assembly stream, start practicing your serves just a little more. Whether that's actually just practicing serves on their own or practicing serve and play out the points with a practice partner more often. Even practicing with a serve and then doing a normal drill too could work. So yeah, like I said, used to call them watching glue dry. That's basically what we're doing. We're watching the glue dry. Takes time, can't rush it. I estimate 10 minutes for this one, 20 minutes for that one. Another 10 minutes to get everything wrapped up. Then we're out of here. We're eating, we're going to bed. Then we're waking up, we're playing table tennis. Look out for the stream. Look out for the tournament stream. Do you have any good use for these cut old rubbers? See, I'm making a bad mistake and I shouldn't put them over that. Anyway, these black sponges are cool. I'm going to set them over there. I usually keep them for a little bit and then I end up throwing them away because there's no real reason to keep them there. I think the Asian teams tournament starts in about 45 minutes on YouTube, so let's aim to be done by then so we can watch some good matches. Like I said, there's a few minutes here. Let me get the schedule. We'll talk about that. So Asian teams tournament. I don't know if you can hear me well or not. I'm talking louder now. I can shout as loud as I want, so you tell me. If I have to talk louder from over here, I'll do it. Asian teams tournament. Gotta find the schedule. Okay. First up, men's team, India versus North Korea. Iran versus Korea, that'll be a good one. Faraji beat Lin Chidong, like I said. And then you got Alamian and his brother, so that's a really good crew. Hodai is there from MLTT also. So yeah, that's 10 o'clock table 3, and 10 o'clock in India is 1 o'clock Eastern time. And then China versus Japan in the second session at like 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, so that's a good one. I'll watch that. Oh, I guess I can't watch that when I wake up. I'll be driving to table tennis. And then the European table tennis, they're doing their tournament. I haven't watched any of it. Pan Am, watched some of it tonight. Good matches. I think Burgos beat Nandin. Sid beat a guy named Eusebio Vos from Chile. Kanak beat Teodoro. Aguirre lost to Calderano. What else? You want me to look up the results? That was all off the top of my head. Gustavo Gomez beat Marcos Madrid. They both got pretty epic names, let's be honest. Gustavo Gomez of Chile versus Marcos Madrid of Mexico. Oh yeah, and then the chopper from Chile, Jiang Zhang, who was born in China, she's 57, 58, and she beat Julia Takahashi 4-0. That's crazy. Alright. We're getting there. We're getting close. Bear with me. If you have anything you need to do for like 5 to 10 minutes, go do it. Check back with me. Let's look at the schedule for tomorrow for the Pan Am Games. Starts with doubles. We got quarterfinals, Sally Moylan versus Mo Jong at 10:45 a.m. We got Nicolas Burgos versus Felipe Arado from Brazil. Not familiar with him, but that should be good. He was doing well. He beat someone. Forgot who. Maybe Jishan Liang. Lily Zhang versus Daniela Ortega. Should be good. Cifuentes versus Zuka. Should be amazing. Adriana Diaz versus Jiang Zhang. Should be pretty easy for Adriana. She's done it before. Seen it live, I think. Gustavo Gomez, Kanak Ja. That's a fun one. Always fun to watch Kanak Ja. Bruna Takahashi versus Jessica Reyes Lai. Hugo Calderano versus Sid Naresh. A lot of good matches tomorrow. Not sure if you could hear me say that. Not sure if I was just speaking to nobody besides myself. Getting there, Kasfu. Kasfu. Rubber for you. Let's see, semifinals, men's doubles, Argentina versus Chile, and Mexico versus Brazil. Men's or women's doubles, Chile versus Guatemala, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Alright. Should be fun. So I don't know if you all heard me talk about all this stuff. Must put quite a bit of glue on this one because it didn't absorb. Sometimes too, like I said, I didn't think I put that much on there, but it's not as absorbent, so it just took longer. That's fine. Not a big deal. With Pips rubbers, you can use a glue sheet, especially on the thin sponges, but 1 millimeter, I guess that's all right. It's going to be a little bit annoying to put on, I'm sure. This one's drying. Drying. This is dry. It's been dry for a while. We're almost there. I estimate. I don't know. I'm not going to estimate. But let me know if you have any questions about table tennis equipment assembly before the night is over. Oh yeah, let's go to the Asian teams tournament lineup. One sec. So for example, that Iran, let's see if we can find the matches for Iran versus Korea. That'll be a really good one. I guess not. I guess I have to give up on that at the moment. considering that, giving up on. We're so close, Casfu. We're so close. So close. Dignics is drying. You can actually see the different brush strokes. It's beautiful. Red 2.1 millimeters. Don't think I've tried Dignics 05 and 1.9 nor 09C, even though I wanted to, but using the 2.1 millimeter on both sides for now until the end of the year, and then I'll reevaluate. But I think it's good. I've been playing well lately. I'm happy with it. Mainly just wanted to control. It's also a little heavy overall, so I could save some weight, but it's not a big deal. It feels good. This is my second racket. You can see, like I talked about, that line at the top. That's because it was peeling up, so I just poured some glue in there and pressed it down. It's visual, but it plays just fine. I practice serving with it, hitting with the return board, so. If you ever have a little problem with your rubber, just glue it a little bit. Stick it down, don't worry about it. But like I said, the 09C is very durable, resistant, tough, cool, rugged, indestructible. Dignics and 9C. So, I'm a little biased, I guess. Let's look at the Spinfire casualty from tonight. Sometimes you gotta look back on your failures. I failed this Spinfire, but not really. I don't think there's anything I could do about it. Look at it. It's pretty cool looking. Don't mind me. Alright, I think this is ready to go. Ready to go. Let's see how it goes. Scared. Scared of the pips. Because I can't roll it the same way. I can't press it the same way. I just gotta be smart. Throwing a curveball at me. Like I said, once you got a rubber on one side, now you can't just stick it up against the table, so that's also a little bit different. You gotta line it up as good as you can. Alright. Let's go, green pips. Let's go. Casfu. There's no middle marker, so we gotta line up the Casfu. What the hell? See, I'm even gentler with the pips. And ideally, if you put the pips down properly, it ends up looking like a, I don't know, like a crazy visual because it's all perfect. So there's like no, it's like an infinity pool. But instead of water, it's jagged pips. Destroying your opponents with your pips. What's this one called? Wait, the Casfu. Doesn't even have a cool name like the other pips. Anyway, let the pips overtake you as you. Anyway, so yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Got a little glue on this rubber, not a big deal. I think I've said that a few times today, right? That's the pop quiz at the end of the stream. Is table tennis glue on something a big deal? A. Yes. B. Not sure. Well, you should be sure. I said it's not a big deal. Alright, so we let that dry, settle. Settle, little buddy. Alright, let it settle. Cut it. Pips are a little more annoying to cut too. Not a big deal. Get us lined up over here to drawing. You can see, because I used, I don't know, it just wasn't quite as even as it could have been. So there's still some streaks there that need to dry, but they shouldn't be a problem. That's my prediction. Put me down for shouldn't be a problem. "30 minutes till the Asian teams tournament starts." Don't think I have any other interesting table tennis equipment to show you as far as new things. But at this point, I don't think any table tennis equipment stream is complete without my Hugo Hal blade. I think we have to talk to the Hal each time, at least until I put rubbers on it. I'm not going to put rubbers on tonight. I need to get this done and go to sleep, but ta-da! This one is the one I sealed on that stream, right? So sealed the blade, it's ready. I'm gonna put some of my old 09Cs on at some point, or maybe I'll buy, I don't know, maybe I'll try and get a good deal on some like hybrid rubbers, try something else, I'll put them on there, but not use used rubbers, put some nice new ones on there. It's beautiful, I think. Or I'll just keep it like this forever. So this is the blade Hugo Calderona uses. Blade used to win the World Cup 2025. I think it was in Macau. Don't quote me on that. From XIOM. It's got the H, the How. It's got the Hyper Exilium. When I was a kid, I said I want to play with a Hyper Exilium blade. That was always my dream. Outer carbon Hyper Exilium, just like Hugo Calderona, I said. They said 85.8 grams, but it was actually, I'm not sure. Something else. Back in my day, we used Hyper Exilium. Anyway, pretty cool. Looks neat. Alright, that black sponge. The black sponge. I gotta fix just that little bit. Not a big deal. It's a big deal to me. There you go, fixed it. Cut it. We need to cut it. You need to cut it. I need to cut it. Let's get it cut. Little problematic start. It's not. Sometimes the material just doesn't cut the way you want it to. Let's be honest. But that's why you have sharp scissors and a persistent can-do attitude. Ideally, I would hold some tension on the pips. I'm gonna have to fix these pips up. Let's see how it looks. It looks okay from that angle. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll fix them. They're gonna break off anyway. So a few pips here and there. They're gonna have to find their way in this world. I'm gonna fix this just a little bit. Table tennis glue. Excuse me. That's the Casfu. Enter the Casfu. Anyway, like I said, I don't know. If you put the pips on right, they look pretty cool. I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but in person you can see it. Pretty cool. Anyway. It's nice people put pips around the outside of the racket now. I've seen. I don't know about that. I'm going to have to find out the ruling on that. In the meantime, I'm not going to throw it away because I could put the green pips on the outside of a T-bar racket. That's a piece of junk. Just kidding. Just kidding. You can see just a little piece of green fell into this. So let me do the same thing I did before. This is why you should always keep a clean assembly station and don't cut things above where you're gluing. Don't do stuff. Piece was actually too small for the tweezers. I had to like pick it off, but at some point I was actually thinking, well, was it even worth it? Maybe it would have been fine without it. Without bothering, I mean. It's definitely better without it though. Almost there. Me and my good friend Dignics 05. Anyone use Dignics 05? Anyone that's watching? You ever tried it? You like it? Don't like it? Tried an Omega Euro, Omega China, Casfu KF915, something like that. Any of them? Look, we got a streak here, slowly disappearing. See a few little imperfections at the bottom, but I think it's okay. So yeah, I could stick some weight on this racket overnight or for a few hours. Definitely overnight though, because I'm not going to wake up to take it off. So. But it looks good. Alright, so we got our XIOM Omega 8 China on the Yinhe blade, the balsa with the Casfu long pips. Sounds good. Alright, last call for table tennis equipment questions, assembly questions, comments, anything like that. Because once this goes on, get it cut, we're cutting the stream, alright? We're going to watch the Asian team's tournament. And the commentators on table 1 are interesting and informative and fun. I don't know if it's always the same commentators, but so far it has been, so definitely check them out. They're doing a good job. They're keeping it live. I'm actually like listening to them, getting a different style of commentary, enjoying it. Getting tired, getting hungry, ready to go to bed. Need to finish this assembly. Come on, dry please, dry. I could stick the rubber in front of the AC vent or something. So, this is the Dignics 05 rubber. You can see it's got just this bit more to dry. Got two little parts here that dry a little bit raised, but I don't think it's gonna be a problem. The rubber's mostly here anyway. It's 2.1 millimeter sponge. Let's look at it. Look at the pips. Look at the pips. So, anyone who has tried Dignics 05, they just came out with the XIOM 03. Sorry for the super close up of the fingernail. It's my thumb. Anyway, XIOM 03 just came out. We're going to try it out sometime. It's supposed to be like a, I don't know, maybe an upgrade for Dignics 05 users, Tenergy 05 hard users. I think Dignics 09C users are not the target market quite as much, but you never know. Maybe on the backhand. Maybe on both sides, I don't know. It's a little lighter, definitely faster. They say it has a high throw angle, not quite as tacky, I think. Same hardness as far as degrees go, but I think it should feel slightly, I don't know, I'm not going to say it feels softer, because some people said it feels very hard. The ball shoots off it very quickly, very reactive. Almost there on that one. Let's see, as far as side tape goes, I'm not going to put any side tape on this one. I'll put in that case over there, the Yinhe case. Pretty cool case. I'll grab it for you. This is just about ready. I know I'm delaying. Okay, so I think they give you this with some of the AliExpress blades and stuff, so sometimes you can do a good deal. Oh, look, there's an old rubber in it. Yinhe Neptune, I'll put that in there. That thing's shiny. Look at it. I just found an old rubber. It's not mine. Anyway, put that back in the case. That could go on different blades sometime. Maybe I can't use those. No. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yinhe's a good brand, good value. Similar to a Sandway. Other brands that also include Loki, Weisan. These are kind of what I would consider AliExpress brand. Well, I mean Chinese brands, but you get them on AliExpress from here because good deal. All right, we're ready. We're ready. So a butterfly does have the wings in the middle and then a little dot, and then very middle will show you the center. You can kind of see it there, in between the wings at the bottom. So that tells you the middle of the rubber, helps you out. You got to put it up to the middle of the handle. Looks good. We've done our job. I couldn't save the one blade and the one rubber. But I wasn't supposed to save the blade. I was supposed to save the rubber. But couldn't. I'll save the blade later. But these ones look good. So I'm happy. So these ones, since they're both double inverted, similar thickness, I can put a piece of wood over the top of them, put some weight on them. It's probably what I'll do for the night, just to make sure the glue sticks, because it's already set. You let it dry first. That's why you let it dry clear, because it goes on dry, but it's better to let it set, in my opinion. You don't want to put so much weight on that it damages anything somehow. You know, they're pretty resistant, so it's not a big deal. Dignics 05 looks pretty good, I think. Did a pretty good job. Right. Any little imperfections will solve themselves. Looks good. But that's why I like 09C, because 09C looks perfect when it goes on. Let me just set it on there for a bit. So let me do a little cleanup. I'm going to save these green pips for the outer edge of a racket or something, maybe. So I'll cut that in a second. We're pretty much done. I'll cut it soon, don't worry. But definitely feel free to take off. Do what you gotta do. Got the XIOM Omega 8 Euro. It doesn't cost €8. Costs a couple euros. Alright, let's cut this thing. Let's get out of here. I just stuck the scissors over there for some reason. Let's cut this thing. Let's get out of here. Now let's let it sit. Don't be hasty. Fake gem again. Alright, give me a second. Let it set. Let me know any last minute questions. What's up? Emery, how's it going? I just saw your comments. Sorry I didn't answer quicker. Counterattack blade. Sorry, Emery, I just saw. Well, it depends on your level, right? A counterattack blade. I mean, a carbon blade. I think inner carbon blades are good. But of course, like an outer carbon blade's the best for counterattacking, I guess, because it's like kind of less resistant to spin, it's less sensitive, so it's just going to blast through it. But I like inner carbon blades because I in between, right? It's got the characteristics of the carbon blades and the wood blades, so that's what I like at the moment. So that's what I'd recommend. Maybe a butterfly interforce. I have the Harimoto Super ALC. Right. So I like my racket. It's good for counterattacking for sure. The Harimoto, which is interforce carbon blade, and Dignics and see both sides. Yeah. This isn't technically my job. I'm assembling rackets for a friend, but yeah, it's working. Can't complain. Alright, let's cut this. But yeah, so the best blade for counterattacking depends kind of on your level and what you're used to, right? If you're used to, I don't know, and also how much you're going to train, right? The more you're going to train, the kind of more demanding equipment you can use. The less you're going to train, the less physical you can play. Then you'll need to make more, or at least consider different things more, as opposed to very fast offensive equipment. Gotta make sure this Dignics stays on here nicely. Dignics sponge cuts nicely. It's dense. So there's the Dignics. Looks good. Medium level, okay. What blade do you use now? What's your racket setup? What do you use? What rubbers? What blade and what rubbers? Like for example, okay, I'll give you different examples. For 5-ply blades, a Peter Corbell blade is very good from Butterfly. It's like $63 right now. And that's as good as a 5-ply blade you're gonna get. 7-ply blade, which is a little stiffer, a little faster, more for like driving through the ball, blocking, as opposed to spinning, looping. The Fexer is a good deal, like $32. But then, as you get to more offensive blades, the inner carbon, outer carbon, you got the Butterfly blades. You know, you have the Interforce ALC, and then you have Viscaria and Viscaria's like blades, and a bunch of different ones. So just kind of depends. You gotta try different ones out when you play with people, so you can figure out your rubbers. But don't make big changes. Just kind of gradually change to the rubbers or the blades, and just keep working on your game. So yeah, thanks for your question, Emery. Appreciate you saying hi. I'm glad got to interact with you a bit in chat. Yeah, it just depends, right, what you're interested in, which brand you like. Do you like Butterfly? Do you like Stiga? Do you like harder rubbers, softer rubbers, tacky rubbers? Right? There's a lot of different considerations, right? Are you more of a forehand player, backhand player, spin player, power player? Things like that. 7-layer. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think a 7-ply blade is really good, really. Like, you don't have to necessarily move away from it. It could be good for counterattack anyway. Maybe you play a little more aggressive rubbers on it, right? So depending on what type of rubbers you're using, maybe you just upgrade your rubbers but use the same blade, right? So a little faster rubbers, a little harder rubbers, a little tackier. For example, this Omega 8 China rubber, I haven't used it yet. I just put it on here. This is a good rubber. It's a hybrid rubber. It's popular. It's a little easier to use than the Jekyll and Hyde they're talking about. But it's a good, that would be a good counterattack rubber. I wouldn't necessarily say these blades are the ideal choices. I would rather stick with your 7-ply blade or play with the inner carbon blade or like a normal ALC blade. These are a little particular, but yes, I mean, really, it sounds like a pretty good setup to me, right? So maybe those rubbers, there's probably a step up in the XIOM lineups you could try, or you go from your 7-ply blade, to one of the inner carbon or even outer carbon blades. If you're used to a 7-ply blade, you could like an outer carbon blade. Right? Malin carbon for Yasaka. I mostly know butterfly blades at this point. I like butterfly blades a lot, so I think those are usually worth it. XIOM's got some good blades though too. I haven't played with them that much. I have my Hugo blade, but I haven't tried it yet. And then of course, Yinhe Sandway. Just depends on budget, what you're looking for. And are you looking for a blade just for a bit or forever? You know, how much are you willing to experiment? But yeah, good questions. Yeah, butterfly. Yeah, I think butterfly is real good. So, for example, I play the Harimoto. It's got a little bigger blade face, but you can play the inner force ones. The Ovtrop's popular, but it's fast, right? Right. So for an inner force, inner carbon blade, the Ovtrop is very fast, whereas the Harimoto, the inner force, are a little slower, more control based. Francisco's pretty fast, I think. What else? I mean, you should try a Viscaria to see which it feels like. Just try some different blades, but trying a Viscaria just to see what the outer carbon feels like to you. Some people really like it. I definitely do like it. I think I'll go back to it one day, but for now I like the inner carbon feel of spinning and holding the ball a little more. Yeah, I mean, I think just try blades out over time. Don't rush the change, and you'll find one that works. For me, I used the Viscaria for a while, and that was like the first carbon blade when I tried it with people who played with it. It felt good, so I just figured, okay, I'll use this for a while. So I used it like 2 years. Then I got these inner carbon blades by Harimoto. But before that, I played 5-ply blades for years, so I used that advice to use slower stuff for a long time, let's say, and then I moved on to the first the Viscaria and then to this inner carbon blade, which I think is better for me anyway, for now. But I definitely spent plenty of time playing with slower stuff, and I even played the Hurricane on both sides of an all-round blade, and that's when I kind of stopped playing backhand as much. I just moved around and played forehand a lot because that was all that worked with that setup in particular. So that's kind of part of how my style came to be. So we got the XIOM Omega 8 China. Supposed to be a good rubber. Yeah. I mean, you just got to try stuff out a little bit. I always say when people buy new rubbers, you got to at least use it for the few months that it's good. Don't just buy it and then say, oh, I don't like this as much, this and that, right? Just buy it, stick with it, figure out what you like, what you don't like, and then make another decision later. But eventually try to settle on something and just stick with it. There's no need to change, right? So you could upgrade your blade or your rubbers, or you could be all right with what you got going on. It's up to you and your coaches, things like that. All right, so that's there. We got our XIOM Omega 8 Euro. Also got good grip to it. Now they're both on the same side. Okay, yeah, so I can feel it. Dignics 05 does not have the same amount of grip as this Euro for sure. All right. So the blades are getting ready for their nighttime storage. We're about to tuck them into bed. Give me a second. Alright, so any more questions, definitely let me know. Otherwise we're going to be out of here pretty soon. Definitely watch these Asian Championships. Give me a second. So this is what I would typically do, at least for a few hours. I like to leave the blades overnight so they settle a little more. Gotta make sure that they go all the way up where they need to. Gotta make sure it's in the right spot. the blades aren't exactly the same thickness, of course, so it makes it a little bit uneven, but it's all right. As long as there's pressure on them. It's not quite. There we go. All right, that's good. So it puts pressure here, puts pressure there. I usually try to get it so it like covers the blades just a bit more. That's good. Anyway, any more questions? Spin. Have you ever tried Dignics 09C? What'd you think about it if you have? I mean, as far as XIOM rubbers go, people play like the C55, C52.5. That's popular. Or I'm hearing that these Andrew rubbers from 45 to 55 are very good. So you see me messing with these weights. I'm just trying to make sure that it's pressing the board down evenly on these blades. And it seems to be doing that, so that's good for now. But yeah, definitely try out different stuff. If you like harder rubbers, then a harder, tackier rubber is good for spin, especially on the forehand. Read different reviews. I don't know, but definitely Omega 8 China is supposed to be good forehand rubber, so maybe you could try that out. It's not too bad. Now, it might be an upgrade from what you're trying, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they compare to those XIOM rubbers you're using. And same, maybe, try some different blades and just find the one that feels like it works well for you, all right? So, I'm going to watch the Asian teams tournament. Thank you everyone for watching. I know it was a long time here, but we got the assembly done. Only 2 rackets. It took me a while, I guess, feels like, but it was all good. So I enjoyed everyone's questions and comments, and I'll see you all later. Like I said, I'm practicing in the morning. Got to get some sleep. Have a good night.